The subject this morning is the compassionate ocean. I invite you all this morning to use your imagination. Before we do anything, we imagine the outcome. When we decide whether it is something we want to do or something we have to do, then we imagine the steps needed to achieve the outcome. Just as this morning, after deciding we were going to go to church, we imagined, when we wanted to arrive, and then we worked backwards. Then we imagined what we were going to wear. As we got ready and travelled to church, our imagination became reality. I hope you will find something that speaks to you this morning, something you can take away. First, as is our custom, we light the chalice candle. And this will be followed by a prayer that is based on what I say silently before I have my breakfast. Thank you for today. May it go well. For yesterday, whatever it brought, and tomorrow, whatever it might bring. Thank you for our health, our wealth, and the wisdom that we have received, and for the beautiful food that we eat in thankfulness. Help us to be of service to others and to spread peace and goodwill throughout the world. Amen. Our first hymn is All Are Welcome, Green 172. Plymouth might be the ocean city, but it's not that ocean I'm talking about today. The service today is about that great ocean we call the spiritual life, the one that we can access within us, the one that we can discover in nature, and is the one that we naturally find in places like this, when it is quiet. I am up here and you are down there, but I'm still a member of the congregation. We're also part of nature and the universe. A saying I heard about many times about 40 years ago, and one that I have pondered on over the years, is unity in diversity, diversity in unity. It is sayings like this that all of us tells us more than even large books. I know there are people who are not keen on having stories as part of the service. The stories I use are teaching stories. I'm told that they're understood on 7 levels. I only know 4. The first one is that they're often funny. Second, usually moralistic. Third, they tell us something about ourselves. And fourth, about life. Unitarians recognize consciously or unconsciously that deep down we are all one. Scientists are now discovering in quantum physics what people have known for thousands of years, such as this from the Upanishad. All rivers, whether they flow to the east or to the west, have arisen from the sea and will return to it again. Yet once these rivers have merged with the ocean, they no longer think, I am this river, I am that river. In the same way, my son, all those people, when they merge again with being, do not remember that they originally rose from being and wound their individual ways through life. The aim of all water is to return to the ocean. Through evaporation, water is taken up by the sun to form clouds, which are blown by the wind to fall as rain. Wherever possible, the water continues its downward journey till it returns again to the ocean. That is its function. At what point does a raindrop become a river? Or when does a river become the ocean? Know then that the source is in all beings, and all things are the source. Without an aim in our life, without an intention to follow, we are carried along by the flow of life. It's just like sailing in a rudderless boat. We have arisen from spirit and is now passing through time. And we return to that ocean and realize that it has never been separate from us. Where deep down we are that one spirit. It is similar to a wave in the ocean. A wave does not arise out of the ocean. It is the ocean that emerges as a wave. Just think about that for a moment. It is the ocean that emerges as a wave. Just as a river is never the same, we are passing through what we call time. And just as the wave that is also the ocean, we are, in one way or another, life in all its aspects. We are all unique, so our experiences will be different. That's what makes it also exciting. This way, we make our own reality. It is important to remove all alien thoughts. If, after looking at alternatives, we decide that we want something to be part of our reality, then that's fine. But what is right for one person is not necessarily right for another. As in the Unitarian tradition, I'm not asking you to believe in anything. I don't believe in anything. Belief is to do with the mind and tradition. What I have instead of belief is faith. Not faith in anything, because that would be belief. It's more of a yearning to remove the veils that separate me from unity. This has taken me on a journey along which which is often called the path, and is represented in this story that I wrote, and it's in 3 parts, and it's read by Catherine.
There is a story about a man who had never seen the ocean. There were times when people tried to explain to him what the ocean was, and some even tried to describe it in detail. He was still not sure, so one day he decided that he would set off on a journey to find the ocean.
Every journey should start with an intention and with the right attitude. Life is about finding our true self. To live in the heart and not the head is the way of the spiritual path. It is the inner teaching that is the essence of every religion. The most important thing to remember is spirituality is not something we do. It is something we become. We cannot travel on the path until we have become the path itself. This is when we realize that the end and the means are one. When our heart really yearns for spiritual love and truth, it persuades us to set off on a journey unto the unknown, to live centered in the heart, and to question the intellect and any fixed patterns of thought. The distressing conditions in society is brought about by such things as greed and self-centeredness, instead of being community-minded. The journey is the way of liberation. To liberate ourselves, we have to do things without expectation, without preconceived ideas, and without attachment. That is, to see the whole, to be in the world and to be involved in it, and at the same time to be in the world but not of it. Free from ambition, greed, intellectual pride, blind obedience to custom, or all in persons of higher rank. Come to the second part of the reading, it's the journey.
He made sure that everything was in order, so that he had no repeating worries, and that the only baggage he had was on his back. He put together what was needed and set off. It was an arduous journey over many different terrains. He met people who showed him the right direction to go in.
We cannot comprehend the many levels of the heart by reading about them, just as we cannot fully understand the depth of love by it being described to us. We should serve humanity out of love. It can only take place in the world, in our everyday life. The first and most important development on the path of life is to become, as I've said, heart-centered. For most people, this is very hard to do. To love the present moment and to have compassion for all. To be conscious of the compassionate ocean. Albert Einstein had this to say: a human being is a part of the whole, called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings, as something separated from the rest. This delusion is a kind of prison, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from the prison by widening our circle of compassion, to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. To balance this, we need to develop mental faculties. We need to balance action with repose. Action without time for repose doesn't allow for such things as intuition and inspiration. The essence is to surrender to unity in love, which involves embracing with love at each moment the contents of one's consciousness, one's perceptions, thoughts, feelings, as well as one's sense of self, as emanating from deep within. What we need is a goal that is in front of us to cling on to, one that is obtainable. We start by doing things mechanically, then we create through imagination our own reality. We have to leave all doubts behind us and go forward in hope. We require self-discipline. We need to have trust and faith in the process. And as I've said, belief comes from the mind and conditioning. Faith comes from a deep yearning. Life is dynamic. Everything in living is living and evolving, including spirituality, whereas systems, philosophies, and beliefs are static. The process of transformation is also dynamic. It's changing base metal into gold, fragmentation into unity, gross life into an ecstatic life. It is a live channel that has the ability to change and adapt to the situation, as well as the people listening. If there wasn't evolution, there would be no point in doing anything. Throughout history, people have invented or discovered things. They were called cranks. If it wasn't for cranks, we would still be in the Dark Ages. Last part of the reading.
After a long journey, he was walking up a slope when he found himself on top of a cliff, and there before him was the vast ocean. He could now see the ocean and hear its roar, but he wanted also to feel it. So he found his way down to a beach and walked into the water. He felt himself being at one with the ocean, and at the same time he had a realization that he was at one with all of life.
It's allowing the body, mind and consciousness to reach their full potential. To be fully aware of ourselves is to know the God within. Father Timothy Radcliffe stated that it's like discovering a hidden depth within oneself. God isn't another person. God is the deepest interior of oneself. This is the essence of all religions. As in the Quran, he who knows himself knows God. In the Bible, the kingdom of God is within you. And in the Vedanta, self-knowledge is the real wisdom. Now come to our second hymn in the green, 233, others call it God. The analytical brain loves travel brochures, loves learning names and descriptions, but it's not so keen on the journey and often fights against it, producing indecision. Everything is within us to discover. If only we were more aware. The problem with most people is that they are not aware. And it is even worse now with mobile phones. You don't want to be caught saying something similar to, "Thank God I'm an atheist." This contradiction is often because most of what we know is from information that we have received from others. which makes it second hand. If you are told something and put it to the test and you find it works for you, then it is useful. With the realization that is gained, it is no longer second hand. It is in the moment. It is now. Through inspiration, perception, and intuition, we can also discover things for ourselves. Before we search out there, we need to search within. First, to discover who we truly are, and then to discover that great compassionate ocean. With meditation, we start by beginning with imagination. Meditation usually starts with a visualization, which is another word for imagination. Let us try meditation now. Sit comfortably with both feet on the ground, with your eyes closed. Take a few deep, slow breaths. And as you slowly breathe out, feel yourself relaxing into the chair. Imagine you are sitting in a small beer garden overlooking the sea. It is a warm, calm, clear summer evening. You see yourself sitting there with your favourite drink and enjoying the moment without a care in the world. Stay with this scene. Observe the garden. The clear sky. The horizon. You hear the waves on the seashore below. Time to return to the church. Continue to feel calm and at peace. We can come together in peace We can bring about harmony and peace through love, but we cannot actively be at peace. Peace is when you stop, when there is nothing else to do. Peace is when we stop thinking about the past or the future. Peace is in the moment and can last for just a few seconds or a long time. On the surface, each of us is separate and we have our own individual way of life. But in the depth of being, we are one. The goal is to move beyond the surface and to discover the depth. The surface of the ocean has waves, turbulence, and an ever-changing appearance. The depths of the ocean are calm, peaceful, and stable. Likewise, the surface of life, the portion of life that is grasped all too tightly by the little self, is turbulent, upsetting, and ever-changing. While the depths of life, the aspect often called divine, is peaceful, calm, and dependable. It is a rock-steady foundation upon which our life exists. It is our true nature. Come to our last hymn, Purple Books, 147, Spirit of Light. There is nothing obstructing silence, and there is nothing to do to find this silence. It is already present, waiting for us to stop crying. When the mind abides nowhere, action becomes spontaneous. Or to put it another way, when we remove nagging thoughts, fears, worries, things could happen beyond our mental input. I shall finish with a quote from Ibn Arabi. We have within us all the planes of consciousness, from gross to fine, and each is the one. The whole universe is one. There is no duality.